Today's reading is John chapter 13, verses 31 to 38. And as we read today's verses, perhaps we can reflect on how disorientating it would be for the disciples to start to follow Jesus, to hear his teaching, to see who he is, to watch, have a front row seat as he performs these incredible miracles, and then for that journey to lead to the cross. I don't know if you've ever had work done in your home, or you've seen construction work, maybe in lots of the house building that's happening in Mill Hill and the new areas that are springing to life, or somewhere else near you. But oftentimes work begins, a tradesman comes in with a job to do, and as they begin it, all other sorts of jobs are revealed. Other problems to solve, normally at greater cost. Last summer, the felt needed replacing on the church roof. We've had leaks pouring through the ceiling at different points, and we managed to get some funding to do it. But as they peeled the felt back, they found all this rot in the wood underneath. In fact, the rot was so severe that it was affecting the lintels holding up the roof above where we worship. And it ended up being a much, much bigger job as it was all addressed. Sometimes there is a deeper problem. Jesus' purpose, he says, is to reveal the glory of the Father. To show the glory of the Father, to bring glory to the Father. That is to make known in a way that we can see and experience who God is. To reveal the character of God and to reconcile us to him. And this starts in his teaching. It starts in his signs and his miracles. It starts in his radical love and intimacy and generosity with everyone he meets. But it won't be complete until the major structural work is done, until things are transformed, until creation is dramatically changed in the cross. That is his purpose, and it finds its ultimate fulfillment there. And as Jesus prepares the disciples and says, this is the purpose of what we're going to walk through, he says to them these tender words, everyone will know that you are my disciples by your love for one another. He says your purpose is also to reveal the character of God and so reconcile people to the Father. And that leads to our own cross, to our own journey, to our own daily walk and surrender and sacrifice. Peter misses this totally. He's ready to die for Jesus. He's ready to put his body on the line, to stand in the gap that Jesus could carry on with what he's doing. And Jesus responds to him intimately, tenderly, ironically, maybe even a little sarcastically. Peter, would you lay down your life for me? Peter is so busy pushing for Jesus, he misses what Jesus needs to do for him and in him. And Jesus gently points out that he's not ready at this point to lay down his life. That there is more that needs to be done. Jesus has to go to the cross for him, and he has to do a work in him. And today, you might be in a place where you're pushing for God in all the right ways, in prayer, in reading the Bible, in loving your neighbours around you. But you're so busy pushing for God and standing in the gap and contending for the kingdom that you miss what God needs to do for you and in you, the ways he needs to lead and change you, the way he needs to prepare you. When the guys working on the roof discovered the rot, we walked around together inside the church, and they pointed up at the roof in a space where we are all the time, where we worship together and celebrate together, a space that we know so well. And they pointed to the spots on the ceiling that were obviously dampness and rot, to the spaces where the lintels were crumbling. And it was obvious. I knew what they were. You could see them there. And we had to do that big work and dig out that wood and bolt new wood to it and get it ready and prepared to make it healthy and whole again. Sometimes God has to do that work in us. It's very blunt, the way that Jesus says to Peter, "You will disown me." But in showing that he knows what Peter will do, he shows that he knows the way on the other side. He prepares Peter for the next part of the journey and what is to come. And I pray that as you read this passage today, God would gently point to the spots in your life that are obvious when he highlights them. There's places where you are doing things for him and God is saying, that's not me. That's not what I have for you. That's not where you're supposed to be going. But I have gone to the cross for you. I have died to reveal and reconcile you to love. And I'm doing a work in you. We will fix this together. We'll work on this together. And as God tenderly does that, I pray that it helps you to grow and to know the love of God in new ways today.